our final lecture for fall 2015. I know that everybody's got much to focus on in their production for our finals and final reviews. So thank you all for making it out with such little time left. We again would like to thank the AAC for generously supporting and bringing in fantastic speakers. We're exceptionally thrilled tonight to bring back to AIM one of our very own. In particular, our lecture committee had been searching for the past year for alumni who had learned here at Iowa State as an architecture student, but had moved outside of the traditional boundaries of architecture. It just so happens that we have many of those, and more so, we have one who speaks to both architecture and our newest member in the College of Design, industrial design. So as such, we're thrilled to welcome a speaker who has worked at a company that is internationally known, and a company which supplies our youngest of citizens with lots of happiness. I'm sure many of you are thrilled to hear about a toy you may have enjoyed as well, and potentially still enjoy. And so I still have mine. So we're really pleased, again, to welcome somebody who is quite familiar with our education. We're thrilled to please somebody who has traveled quite far, recently from Denmark in his most recent set of proposals as a part of LEGO at their headquarters, and someone who has spent a lot of time investigating in their research and development arm new methods and new means of design entertainment. And we're thrilled to have some insight into how this fantastic toy company maintains our interest for so long. Without any further hesitation, Dan Weir.
Alright, so I am a senior concept designer for LEGO Future Lab, which is our R&D group. But I'll start off with a few facts about LEGO. It was founded in 1932 by the Christensen family. It's still family owned today, and it is the world's largest toy company. And the small town it's based in is Billund, and kind of like Ames, it is 6,000 people. So it's a tiny town with a giant company. So the LEGO brick was invented in 1958, an interlocking stud and tube system. And that same brick would connect with a brick today. In fact, I don't know if you're familiar with Duplo bricks, but there are preschool line, and those also fit into the same bricks. We have Technic bricks. It's all one system. So what LEGO did was created a system in play. And with just 6 bricks like this one here, there's just about 1 billion combinations. So it provides kids and adults with endless creativity. So, did you also know LEGO is the world's largest tire manufacturer? So, with nearly over 600 million last year. And there are 3 aluminum LEGO minifigures traveling at 23,000 miles an hour that will eventually crash into the face of Jupiter. So, and they'll travel a distance of 19 astronomical units. So the distance from here to the sun. So that's the past, but we're looking at the future of play. And I'll kind of show a little bit of insight into how we approach designing this. A lot of the materials, our process is confidential, so I kind of had to tiptoe around things. So, but I'll give you some background about me, how I got into LEGO. So, I grew up in Iowa, in Cedar Rapids, and have lived here. Iowa was home for 25 years. And I grew up with 3 brothers. All we had was that red Lego bin we got from a garage sale. Remember, you need a butter knife to pop open the lid. And because I had 3 brothers, we were very competitive. The only memories I have with Lego are building crappy little cars that we'd smash into each other, and who's ever survived would. And growing up, I had 2 great art teachers. Mrs. Barth, I had her from kindergarten to 8th grade, and the great Bob Ross. So, and at a young age, I already knew I wanted to be an architect. So, and then in '92, our family built our house, and including my 7-year-old grandmother on the scaffolding, and that further drove my interest into architecture. And believe it or not, I ended up here in '98 and had some fantastic teachers and a fantastic classmate. So, and I got to study in Rome, which is a fantastic experience if you have the opportunity. Highly recommend it. My 30-minute walk every day to class, I passed the Colosseum right by the Pantheon, so it was, yeah, it was a remarkable experience. And then I did my thesis project, which is kind of turning the house inside out, and I designed this kind of a kitchen appliance. It's all in one, so you can put it into like an open loft space, and that space becomes a kitchen. But anyways, that drove my interest into industrial design. Because when I started school, the internet was still not very well organized, so it was tough to get access to information. So by this time, I discovered the field of industrial design. And then after a couple of years of waiting tables and bartending and building a portfolio, I attended Art Center's graduate industrial design program in Pasadena. And my thesis project was a toy/game to teach for creativity and music. So it's kind of to teach music more like art classes in a game. So to nurture creativity, expose them to different culture, different music types. And then this directly led to my job at Lego. So I met my manager and showed him my thesis and landed a job at Lego, and then Concept Lab, the role of that is we're the R&D department looking for new ways to play with this brick. Try not to redesign the product, but to shape new experiences with that. And so with these bricks, there's various ways you can play with it. So we have some action figures, we have role play, we have engineering products. We're looking for new experiences beyond that, and potentially bringing new experiences into these other product categories. So, and beyond new experiences, we're also looking at new products, new target groups, markets, technologies. And all of this is to feed and to create a growth driver, which is a massive business that will generate $200 million for 3 years or more. So, and the goal is to create something that's obviously Lego but never seen before. In the early 2000s, the Lego kind of lost its way, didn't really know what it was. It was exploring a lot of different product innovation, but none of it was truly a Lego experience. So this is the mantra we had to live up to. And when it's a one product brand, it's a challenge. And so it's very rare that I got the opportunity to work with Lego, because this is the Concept Lab team. There's only one person working in the one designer in the United States, and I happened to meet him, and our team became 2, and we'd work with satellite offices around the globe. And they're all similar small-scale teams. So, and we take a design thinking approach where everything starts with research. So we do research and define the need, define the opportunities, we brainstorm, we bring those to life, and then we test these experiences. So as I joined, the first project going on was Lego Games. Oh, hold on a second. Can we get video? Does VJ do video? Or, oh, hold on, let me check this. So that's an example how you keep the product is basically the same, but you're bringing a new experience, into the mix, which is obviously Lego but never seen before. So the only product innovation is this 6-sided dice in the new microfigure, which opened up an entirely new business category. So the first year we launched with 10 games. So in this posed problems, we had never done games, so there's challenges with the packaging. How do you communicate this as a game to the consumer who's never seen a Lego game? And with instructions of how to play the game, you also have to work with language barriers. And then another point of discussion was where to position this. Should it be in the Lego game, or the Lego aisle, or should it be in the board game aisle? And then end up going into the board games because it would not compete with our existing product lines, but then compete with the other board games. And then the first project I was involved in was research into girls' medias and play types, which ultimately led to our Lego Friends line.
New Lego Friends, welcome to beautiful Heart Lake City. I'm Stephanie. I'm going to a party at the new cafe with my friend Olivia, and that's me. I just finished decorating my house. Time to chill with the girls. At the beauty shop, Ella is styled and ready to go. This is going to be so much fun. There's the vet with Mia. See you soon. The Millville Cafe is the coolest spot in Heart Lake City. Welcome, I'm Andrea. Cupcakes are ready. I love being together with my friends. Me too. Welcome to the world of Lego Friends. New Lego Friends. Each set sold separately, not all characters included. Join us at LegoFriends.com. Ask your parents first.
So taking the design thinking approach, this started with the research. So we're trying to learn this consumer that we've never had any luck in this market. So we've launched various girls products, but they all failed. So, and we actually conducted 4 years of research for this project. And from that, we formed different insights, defined needs of the girls, and then these ended up forming different directions to take the projects. So, and then we launched, I forget what year this is, but here's a look at the products. And with the new product line, our market tripled that year, and then has continued to grow 20% every year. And now we have various lines for girls as we do for the boys line. So there's Friends, there's Elves, there's Disney Princesses, and in the last year or two, you see different girl Lego minifigures showing up in sets across our entire portfolio. So there's a little a female pirate in that little set there. And then Superheroes is an example of a more downstream project, which we are helping the other project groups on.
New Lego DC Comics Superhero sets. The supervillains are on a rampage. You can help Batman and his superhero friends build a powerful Batwing. Fire the missile. The Joker's down.
So those were our first superhero set. We previously had a Batman line and a Superman or a Spider-Man line, but it was tough. Those are tied to movie releases, so the next year we can't sell another line. It's also difficult to sell 5 sets that have the Batman figure or the Spider-Man figure. You know, it's easy to sell one, but it's tough to get kids to buy multiple when they really want the character. So what Superheroes did, the objective was to create an umbrella brand that would span across both Marvel and DC and combine all their properties that we could have a sustainable brand year after year. And so I did a bit of concept art for this. I designed the products and looked at packaging, communication. There were various brands we'd have to represent. We had to get Lego across, we had to get superheroes across, DC Comics, then take that down to another level of Superman, and then the characters themselves are property. So that was a bit of a communication challenge, trying to juggle all the brands within the superheroes umbrella. And then Lego Juniors. So after just doing some general research into our consumer groups, we found that there's an opportunity just hidden under our noses that we didn't realize. So for decades, we've been producing the Duplo system and the system bricks. But the 4-year-olds thought the Duplo stuff was too babyish, but didn't have the dexterity and couldn't read the instructions of our plating using the system brick. So we discovered that missing element. So redesigning the product for them, we gave them bigger kind of modular elements where the whole arch in this castle is one piece. And then we clarified the instructions and simplified the building technique. And got rid of a lot of the smaller pieces. And then this spawned a new product line catering to boys and girls. Another project is Mixels. So Mixels also came about when spotting a gap in our portfolio. So we had a lot of vehicles, we have tons of vehicles in our portfolios. We have buildings and we have characters. But the characters aren't a classic Lego building experience. We have the minifigures, which is virtually no building. And then we have the Bionicle line or Hero Factory line, which are built on a different ball and joint system. So we're looking at different opportunities to build characters with these classic bricks. And out of that came Mixels. And Lego, and beyond product innovation, we also looked at different play types this could cater to. Lego does a lot of role play, storytelling with their products, action play, even engineering in the Technic line, but we were missing humor from our products. So we really tried to focus on a product that the core of it is humor. And so we partnered up with Cartoon Network, and we did a series of mini shorts that are kind of crude humor like you might see on Cartoon Network. And so, and there's also the choice of not styling it like Lego. So you can see it took on a cartoony look rather than like a brick built look. So it's more like the shows that they do watch on the TV. And another product innovation is that you buy 3 different models and you can combine them together to create your own constructions. It allows for easy creativity. And similar to the Lego games where we brought in the dice and the micro figure, the only new products on this are the eyeballs, the teeth, and there's a new mini ball joint system. And we also explored, new business opportunities. Lego sets can be expensive, so this is the first product line with building that the entire SKU of these 9 sets were all under $10 each. So now we cater to a different market. We're not selling to the parents. We're actually selling to the kids who have a bit of pocket money that they can buy these with their own cash. So in 3 years ago, there's a bit of restructuring. Concept Lab merged with a couple other departments, and we became Lego Future Lab. And the other satellites around the world have merged with Denmark, and US and Denmark, and US and Denmark are the only ones left. And now the team consists of designers, engineers, project managers, and business and marketing experts. And throughout the final years of Concept Lab, a lot of the briefs were getting more and more digital. The iPad came out and just totally changed the way kids play. You had 2-year-olds using computers for the first time, and they're fluent with it by 2 years old. And new games were coming out, Angry Birds. So a lot of the focus was on this type of technology. So and we wanted to look. We didn't want to go full digital and ignore the brick because Lego ultimately they produce plastic bricks, but we want to use the digital experience to enhance what we're already doing to kind of bring it to the 21st century. And there's a spectrum of experiences. So on one side you have completely physical, other side is completely digital. We're looking at the more central space. So there's experiences to be created along the whole spectrum, but we're kind of targeting the center of that. And we want to leverage the technology to get kids to build more and play more with their Lego bricks. Where in the past several years, Lego has become kind of a model building kit. So we want to. A big goal was to bring back the creativity that everyone loves with the Lego bricks. And while we were spending tens of millions of dollars developing Lego Universe, 250 people were working on it for several years, one guy in Sweden created a little game called Minecraft. So we also wanted to adapt to this market. I mean, Universe got too big to fail. We had dumped like $35 million into it, and we couldn't turn away from it at that point. So we needed to adapt our way of working, our mindset to cater to kind of the software, how the software develops product. And so we took a lean startup approach, and the idea is, the core of it is to get the idea, create a prototype of it, and test it as quick as possible to do these fast cycles of concept to learning. And once again, our goal is to create these new experiences, new products, and businesses. But it wasn't with the objective of creating a huge growth driver. It was to gather learnings that we can then bring into, which can influence other product lines. So our first pilot project was Life of George. The original brief we called iLego, and it's just what happens if you take Lego bricks and an iPhone. What kind of experiences can we do? We have cameras, we have accelerometers, we have touch screens, we have, we can play games on this. So what can we create from this? So we ended up developing a play experience where you get a puzzle, you build it, and you scan it with your phone. We had software that can recognize each brick in that. And then we give you a score or an evaluation based on how quickly you built it. So this came out a couple of years ago, and we really pushed our development product. We got this product to market a year quicker than our normal process. As a small pilot, we only released in Lego brand retail stores, and it ended up winning a few awards. And then building off the knowledge of Lego Life of George, we developed Fusion, which was kind of our 2.0. And this one, I'll go into a bit more of the process. So to create these experiences, we think of it as, it's kind of like cooking. It's building the recipe of what makes something fun or how the user interacts with it. So we do follow the same design thinking process. So we conducted a lot of research with our user. And from that, we created a ton of insights and defined needs, and then through a process of editing down and combining these, we define different directions. And every year, we take a trip to Spain, a little town called Palamos, and we do a big brainstorming session where about 50 of us get together, and we brainstorm new concepts for a week and work 12-hour days by the side of the ocean. And out of that, we get a ton of ideas. And from those ideas, we then begin to kind of pick favorites and prototype those, everything from paper prototypes to full-on digital prototypes. And then we test these with the consumer. And with Fusion, we defined what we call a play flow. So it's like how the user interacts with the product. So Then they will receive a challenge. They'll capture that with their camera. It comes to life in their game. It's scanned into the system, and then they get, then they can play with that in the digital world. So with that formula, we can create various experiences on top of that. And we launched a SKU of 4 products. And yeah, we released that 2 years ago, I believe, and because it is pretty unique to the market, it got a bit of buzz from that. And then I guess the final project, which was released in early access this year, was Lego Worlds. And the goal of it was to create a true digital Lego experience, because we have, for over a decade now, we've been creating games with TT games, but they're only Lego in theme. They're action-adventure games with Lego minifigures. So the goal is to create this true creative experience in the digital world. And what we are looking at is creating the 5-year vision of what this experience might be. full release of that will be sometime next year. I can't go into many more details on that, but the early access is out. So those were a few of the projects that actually were released, but 90% or more of our projects just get locked away in the vault. And we can't discuss them, can't show any development on it. But it's not a total loss because we use them to gain learning and to kind of forecast what competitors may do. So as an R&D team, you kind of have to face the fact that, you know, a lot of your babies won't make it out there. So, and working on these small teams and never knowing what the next project is, you have to wear many hats. So from a researcher to a game designer, I'm now learning Unity game engine to build some of our prototypes, you know, artist, illustrator, you know. So you have to be very adaptive to be on these sorts of teams. So what will the future of play look like? So that's the big question. So it's a real interesting time right now. There's a lot of new business models approaching, new technologies with computer vision, augmented reality, virtual reality. There's EvanTube, which is a YouTuber that has, you know, millions of subscribers. So yeah, and he does reviews of different products and video games, and you know, even the video game sector is changing. It's moving from console to mobile and other platforms. You have the maker movement, 3D printers, the Internet of Things with the Nest, you know, the smart home. So somewhere in all this mess is defining the future of, you know, what Lego Play will look like in the, you know, a few years down the line. And these are a lot of the technologies and models that we have to watch and factor in. But you know, with Lego, we think the main ones that will affect us, kids have more access to these devices. They're getting phones handed down from their parents, or you know, their own tablets now. There's the maker movement going on, which you know is looking at 3D printing. What happens if, you know, Legos can be 3D printed, or could even argue that Lego is an early form of 3D printing, that you use these to make your own. So we want to embrace that community. And then just there's new games and digital experiences that are kind of competing with the toy industry. So it's been a shrinking market with new forms of entertainment cropping up. So we're looking at, you know, the Minecrafts and, you know, Skylanders and how those might affect the future of the Lego group. And these trends are not just affecting the industry, but you know, they're actually affecting play behaviors of kids. Because as Minecraft came out, now kids are actually expecting these creative experiences in the digital world, which never really existed before. So we have to adapt to these shifts in the behaviors of kids that are being led by, you know, these trends and the changing trends. So that is a look at how we design the future of play. So if anyone has any questions, I would love to try to answer some. Yes.
What was the most successful line in Lego history?
Oh, I would have to say, I'm guessing Friends, without knowing the research, to triple a 9% market. I would imagine that would be. It actually doubled expectations the first year, so it couldn't keep up with it.
How many designer things have you actually like constructed and helped build and stuff? Like, there's so many of them out there. I just want to know what pictures you helped build.
Most of these I had some small part on, but
The big one.
the big one, Lego Worlds was my favorite one to work on. I was on that for a year, kind of developing that vision. So let's see, another big one I was on. That was the one I really felt most involved on. So the other ones probably I had a week to 3 months on.
And you're trained as an architect with your undergraduate, and your master's is in industrial design.
Yes.
So what from your architectural education has really, why are you a different kind of designer because of your architectural background than if you just started in industrial design or in some of this? Like, how does that affect you as a concept designer?
Not sure exactly, but I mean, I do remember like architecture can be a form of experience design, how you flow through the space. But even a lot of my education as a industrial product designer really aren't applicable because now I'm moving into the digital realm where it's more game design. So it's definitely been this constant kind of flow and evolution from past to past.
Yeah, I think like the capacity to learn really, really quickly, right, is probably a big part of that.
Yeah, and because I was actually doing full-time freelancing for 3 years, so I didn't have a proper contract. So I had to keep up or else I'd be out of the job. So it was good motivation, and I guess I just kind of continued to keep pushing.
So if somebody wanted this job, like this kind of job, what would be your advice for them in school?
Well, I do have a couple slides on that. I don't
Oh, there you
think
go.
I'm going to bring too much input into it, but work your butt off. At the point you get lucky and an opportunity arises that you may meet the one single Lego designer in the US, you're going to be ready for it. So you definitely can't predict that, but you'll get a head up, a little advantage. Because I've actually, some of my classmates I brought onto projects, but they just weren't self-motivated because we were a small team, we'd often work from home, that it didn't work out right. So you really have to kind of keep pushing it. And one thing I learned is just, have fun. Be that 8-year-old kid, who loves to play. You stay curious, you stay creative, and stay playful. And I just think maybe professionally it helps, with the creative process, but just life is more fun, staying a big kid. And like I was saying, you constantly have to evolve. And one thing I wish I actually focused more was kind of mastering a specialty. So, I'm not really sure what my specialty is, but I definitely, because a lot of companies are looking for T-shaped employees, so they have deep knowledge in one area, but a little bit of knowledge across various areas. And, make it your personal hobby. So, work, drive personal projects, read books, stay learning. Beyond the Lego work, I've done freelance stuff for companies, for Bose, L'Oreal, a motocross company, done my own projects, tried to create my own business in cell phone cases, and just drawing for fun, keeping up on kind of some hard skills. Because a lot of the skills I've been doing have been pretty soft, so, kind of to drive a bit more of that specialty, kind of look at those hard skills.
How do you get a sweet minifigure of yourself?
There was a guy on my team who knew, but he left another department. So there are business cards, which are the Lego minifigure with your name printed on it. So I think even on the inside, you need to have someone on the inside of the inside. So being in LA, I'm a bit removed from the inside of the inside.
Any other questions?
So,
Beer.
oh yeah. Yes.
How would this relate to other kinds of toy design? Like maybe like special learning toys or like just in general?
Well, we applying the same process. We've actually looked at educational projects and products. We were working with NASA for a short while on a project which was part of that 90% that never went forward. So, but in that case, it turned out to be that the market, even if we got 100% of the science and discovery market, it still would not have qualified for that 200 million a year growth rate. So, yeah, I think it's just taking, I think a lot of it comes down to that design process, the design thinking process, defining the consumer need or the business opportunity, and looking for some creative opportunity within it.
As a designer, do you mostly just take out do you come up with the ideas for worlds on your own, like say the Nautical Line or Star Wars or like castles, or do you think of those on your own? Do you take ideas from the team and make sets out of those?
Like with the new themes of there's a front-end team. So Concept Lab used to be the only front-end team, and we would help out with other project groups that are doing play themes. So we look at different story ideas, and the teams are usually about 3 to 4 people trying to create a new story, new characters. But after we were helping these teams out, they built their own internal front-end teams, and they're doing a lot of that themselves now. So you have, because right now there's a team looking at 2017, 2018 product lines. Mainly in the play teams areas that have the mini figures, like what more stories can we tell? So does that answer it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
In the Lego Architecture series, when you read the description, it says there's a natural sort of connection between architecture and Legos.
Yeah.
So why are they so concepts?
It's interesting.
Only 3,000, they're all like
Yeah, and well, what we did learn from Lego Architecture is because we were selling to an adult community, that we could actually charge a premium and they'd be okay with it. And we weren't doing limited production runs, so we were doing smaller runs. So that drives up cost a bit. There's a lot of money that goes into the instructions, and that has a nice bounded book, but at the end of the day, there were greater profit margins, I guess, for the market. So the new business group was one of the teams we formed with to create Future Lab. They were responsible for that. Paul Smith-Meyer was the guy leading it. But the very first production run, he was in a guy's apartment in Chicago, packing all the boxes and selling the first sets to the museums. So he was a bit of a rebel, and he really pushed Lego to kind of change their philosophy.
You have like new sets that have a lot more pieces, like the new City Opera House.
Okay. Oh yeah. Is that still architecture, or is that a creative?
Oh my gosh, it's already in production.
Yeah, I think that moved into the creator series, which is another category. But I think a lot of it is people just want a little memento that they could put on their desk, rather than the Roby house is a pretty large one. That it's just kind of, I haven't been involved in it, but I assume it's just a nice little desk paperweight or something.
Is that in general or
No, just architecture, because it is for the adults, but I think it's just, Lego is expensive, and the big sets get more expensive.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Shit. I was surprised my first trip to the store to buy a Lego set. So, but I got this thing, so. So is this process similar to what anyone expected? Because when I actually started Lego, I was thinking, okay, what would a designer do for Lego? Are you designing new bricks? So it was definitely eye-opening for me. So especially, I think that's where that technical architecture background and mindset is okay, okay, we could add a slope but yeah, but I mean, we actually rarely kind of design the physical stuff anymore. It's kind of the experience that goes on top of that.
All right. Thank you all for coming. And if you have any more questions, stick around for a little bit longer. And thank you. We'll see you in the springtime. Good luck on